In today's video, we're taking a look at the brand new feature from Elegant Themes, and this is the Divi Hover Options. Now, this feature is amazing because you can turn any section, row or module into a link, and also you can provide all these hover options, and these can be applied easily using this new interface. Today's episode is made possible by divicake.com. Check out the huge selection of Divi themes, layouts, and plugins. The link to that is in the description below. And also, if you want to learn how to design awesome looking websites, I have two courses. The first one is the WordPress Mastery course. This is absolutely free. The link to that is in the description below. Just sign up and you can start learning. The second course is Divi Blueprint 3. Now, this course, you are able to get it when you buy Divi itself. All you have to do is to send me an email with a receipt and I'll give you access to that course. Or if you just want to buy it because you already have Divi, I have a 50% discount, and that as well is in the description box below. So without wasting a lot of time, let's dive in and let me show you how to use this feature and also how you can apply it to your existing design. Now, before I get started, to have this Divi hover option, you have to be running the latest Divi. So make sure you update your Divi to the latest version. Okay, so right now I'm in my admin dashboard. So the first thing we're going to do is to create a brand new page. So I'm going to come over here to pages, click on add new, and let's just call this page Divi Hover. Click on use Divi Builder, and then we're going to go straight to the Visual Builder. Okay, so over here we have three options. So we can either clone an existing page, choose a pre-made layout, and build from scratch. Now, it doesn't matter which one you choose. The option will still be there for the hover. So I'm just going to come over here and build this page from scratch. Okay, so next I'm going to add 3 columns, and in each column I'm going to add some images. I'm going to select it. Right, so over here I'm just going to click in this area and add my first image. So I'm going to go with this one right here, upload an image. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to design, and then I'm going to click on filters. So over here, I'm just going to add a style, and what I want to do is to start off this image as a black and white image, and then when you hover over it, it needs to bring the color on it. I'm going to come over here to saturation and then click this arrow here, because this is the arrow that allows us to add our hover effects. So I'm going to click here. By default, it's on 100%, so I want this to be on 0%. So if you take a look here at the top, now my image is black and white. And then if I come over here to the hover tab, I can now bring my saturation up to 100%, just like that. So what's going to happen now is when I mouse over this, this is now going to show the full color, but by default, it won't have the color, as you can see here. And this is applying the saturation. Okay, so what I'm going to do next here is to save this, and then I'm just going to duplicate this a few times and drag this into position since we have all the settings there already, like that. Great. So what I'm going to do now is to just come over here and I'm just going to change this image. Okay. So I'm just going to click here, choose a different image. So this time I'm going to go with this one, upload an image, save that, and then come over here again, choose a different image. This time I'm going to go with, maybe I'll go with this lady right here, like that. Great. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and save. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to apply a color to this section. So I'm going to click this section settings, click on background, and I'm just going to apply a solid black to that and save. Okay, so now this looks really cool. In a moment, I'll be going to show you how this looks like once I've saved this and published it. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do here is to come to my row settings, click on design, sizing. So I want to make this slightly bigger. So I'm going to click on use custom width. And then over here, I'm going to change the unit to percentage. And then I'm just going to reduce this to about maybe 72% or maybe even 70. So now that section looks beautiful. I'm going to go ahead now and save. So I'm just going to save this for now so I can show you the effect. Okay. Now that my page is saved, I'm going to click on exit Visual Builder. Great. So now take a look at what happens when I mouse over these areas. See, as soon as I put my mouse on here, the color is now coming on. And this is a really, really cool feature. And this can be achieved using these hover options. Now, let's try something different. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back over here to my visual builder. So this time I am going to add a brand new section. So I'm going to click this plus button here, regular section, and this just needs a single column. Okay. And in that, I'm going to add a text module. Right. Okay. So over here, I'm just going to add a bit of text. So this text here can be, it can be anything. So if you're designing this to be a fully functioning website, you do need to have the text, which of course relates to whatever your website is about. Okay, so now that I have my text in place, I'm going to come over here to design, and then I'm going to come to text. I'm going to center this, and then I'm also going to change my font to Poppins. Okay, I won't make it all caps, but I'd rather make this slightly bigger because this is going to work as my sort of like call to action. And then over here, I'm going to add 1 EM. Okay, so now that's looking much better. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add an image to this section background. So I'm just going to save this for now. Click on my section settings, background, and then I'm going to add an image. Right, so the image I'm going to go with is, let's go with this one right here. Okay, I'm going to upload the image. Great, so now I have my image in place. That's looking great. Then I'm going to save. And then I'm going to go in here and make some adjustments here to my padding. So I'm going to go into the row settings, design, and then I'm going to go on the sizing tab. So first of all, I just want to reduce the sizing of this column. So I'm going to come to custom width, and then I'm just going to reduce this, okay, to about 800. Okay, I think that's fine. Great. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to come over here to spacing, add some padding to the top and the bottom. So I'm going to start off with 10%, come back over here, save that. So now I can drag this to the top. Okay, so all we have to do now is to go in and change the color of this text. So I'm going to go in here, click on design, text, change that to white, and then I'm going to save. Okay, so the feature I'm going to talk about now is where we can link a complete section, a row, or module to any page that we want. So let me show you where that is. So if I come over here to my section settings, you see here where it says link. If I click on that, now I can link this complete section. So I'm just going to add a blank link for now, and then I can also open this in a new tab if I wanted to. So I'm just going to do that for now and then save. So by doing that, you can have a call to action here, which doesn't even need a button. So if anyone masters over this area, they can always just click on that, and that takes them to the page that you've chosen. Okay, so just to follow with the design of this, I'm just going to go back in here to my image, and then I'm going to select luminosity. Okay, so with that in place, I'm going to go ahead now and save. So now we have our section area. We also have these images now, and we can always go ahead now and add even more items if we wanted to. So I'm going to click this plus button here, click on regular. So the next thing I'm going to add now is some text. So I'm going to choose these two columns. So on one of them, I'm going to have an image. Okay, and I'm going to choose my image by coming over here and selecting my image, uploading an image. I'm going to save this for now. And then over here, I'm going to add some text. Okay, so now that I have my text, I'm just going to replace that using my lorem text over here. Okay, so I'm going to come over here, paste my text. Now we can go in and customize this. So I'm going to come over here to design, text, make this slightly bigger. Maybe 18 is fine. And then over here for my text, I'm going to choose Poppins. So I'm going to save this for now. And like we did before, I'm going to give this a black background. I'm going to come over here to background, add my background color, just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead now and save. Now it's time to work on the rows. So I'm going to click here on my row settings, click on design, sizing. We're going to make this a custom width. And this time, yeah, let's leave it at 70, just like the top one. I'm going to equalize column height, and then I'm going to save. Okay, so now let's do some work here with the hover options. So with this image here, I'm also going to do what I did here on the top. So I'm going to copy my styles from here and add them here. So I'm going to right click, copy module styles, and then I'm going to paste them here. Now over here with this text, I'm going to come over here and click on my module settings. And then I'm going to add a background. So let's start off by coming over here to my hover options. So by default, I don't want to have any colors there. And then on the hover now, I want to add this red. Okay. But as you can see, this color here, I don't have enough padding on the side. So I would need to go in and add my padding and also change this color of the text to white so that we can, we can read it easier. Okay. So now that we have that, I'm going to come over here to design, and then we're going to go to spacing. So let's add some padding. Right, so I'm going to start off with, say, 3%. Do the same here. Okay, maybe we can make this 4%. Okay, I think that looks fine. So the next thing we're going to do now is to go in and change the color of this text on the hover state. Okay, so I'm just going to click this little brush tool. So this is going to take us over here to our text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this little arrow here, which allows me to go into my hover options. So over here on the hover now, because you can see here with these two tabs, the hover state now is where I can choose my color. So now I've changed that to white. Okay, so that looks much, much better. Okay, and then on the default, it's just going to look like that. Okay, so you see the difference? So that's my hover, that's my default. As soon as I hover over this area, this is what's going to happen. Great. So now that I have that in place, I can now save this, and let's do a quick preview. So I'm going to save the page, exit the Visual Builder. Okay, so let's test this now. So you can see here, my images are now working. It's great. It's also working on there. And if I hover over this area, now we can see that it has this hover effect. Okay, so that looks great. We can even link this, as I showed you, here on this section. Right, so now that we have this in place, I mean, if you're going to be using this layout, in fact, I'll be giving this layout away for free. So if you're going to be using this layout, it's very, very easy to use. All you have to do is to just drag it onto the page that you need to use it on, and then you can go in and customize it. Now, taking a look at this, you can also change this completely and use a full width header. Okay, so let me show you how to do that. So let's say we go back in here. We can actually delete this. Let's add a brand new section, but this time let's add it as a full width header. So now what we can do is we can go in and link the whole section by coming over here. Okay, but we're not going to do that for now. So all I have to do now is to come over here to my text, and then I'm just going to add my text over here. I prefer using this actually because this full width header is much, much better. Okay, so I'm just going to add this. And then I'm also going to add my dummy text. So as you can see, this is very, very flexible. You can go in and make all these customizations and change the layout if you want. So I'm going to come over here to design. So first of all, I'm going to start with my title font. Change this to Poppins. Increase the size a little bit. Go to our body text. Increase the size. Okay, so here again, what we're going to do is we are going to change the font. Okay, that looks much better. Okay, so we're going to do the same on the button. So we're going to come over here and activate custom styles for button. We're going to leave everything as it is. All we're going to change here is just the font. So I'm going to change it here to Poppins, all caps, and let's just reduce the size a little bit. Okay, so that looks better. Right, so now that we have that, I'm going to go ahead now and save. Now, I don't like this color here. So what we're going to do is we are going to add an image to the back there. But before we do that, I'm just going to drag this to the top. Then go into my section settings. So over here, I'm just going to remove this button here. So I'm just remove the button one link text. So now we don't have any links on there. So that's great. So I'm going to come over here to design. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the width of this text. So I'm going to come over here to sizing. And then I'm just going to change my content width here to about 64%. Okay, so that's looking better. In fact, let's make it 60. Okay, so what I'm going to do next now is to come over here to my layout and make this full screen. Okay, so now it's a full screen layout. Over here on the image tab, I'm going to add an image. So the image I'm going to go with is this one right here. So I'm going to select it, upload my image. So now we have a full image. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm also going to play around with my gradients because I want this text here to be easier to read on my landing page. So I'm going to come over here, click this plus button to add my gradient. So my first color here is going to be black. And then my second color here is just going to be white, but I'm going to drag the transparency all the way down. Right, so now with that in place, I'm going to click here on place gradient above image. Okay, so now we can see my gradient is now above the image, but we're not done yet because the gradient direction is not right. So I'm going to come over here and play around with the direction. So now we can see that this text is now much easier to read. I can always go in here and make some adjustments as well and just maybe increase my line height, make this easier to read. Okay, I think 1.6 is fine. And then I'm also going to go to the sizing because I think there's more we can do here with the sizing. So let's reduce this down to about maybe even 50%. Okay, so that looks much better now. Okay, so I'm going to save for now. And also what we may do here is to add a title to this section right here on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another row, but a single column. And I'm going to add some text in there for our title. I'm going to copy my title from here. And then I'm going to replace my dummy text here. Right, so next I'm going to come over here to my design tab. And then we're going to center this text. Also change the font to Poppins. I'm going to make it all caps. And we're going to add a bit of letter spacing with this. Now for the color, I'm just going to make it a lighter gray like that. I think that looks really nice. The size I think is fine. I'm going to save that and then drag this to the top. So now that becomes the title for these three images. Now let's say you want to add some call to actions to this. So this could be maybe an e-commerce store and you want to link to your categories. You can always add your text over here on the bottom, and that will link you to whatever category you need for your e-commerce store. Okay, so finally what I'm going to do here is to just add some padding here on the top, just to give this some nice breathing space. And I'm also going to do the same here on the bottom. And then over here, what we could also do is we could add a video. So let's add our video module. So as you can see, it comes in with this default video, but what I like doing is adding an overlay image. So I'm going to come over here, add my image. So the image I'm going to add there is, let's add an image of maybe these two kids here. Upload an image. Great. So now that I have this, I can also come over here to the design and fix the play icon and also the sizing. So the width here, let me just change this so that it's pretty much similar to the width that we have here on the text. So I'm just going to make some changes here while I'm looking at it like that. That looks much better. So I'm going to go with that. Next, I'm going to come over here to my filters and then coming all the way here to my saturation, I'm going to click here on this little arrow here for my hover options. So my default here needs to be black and white. And then on the hover, I want this to be 100% like that. So that's looking great. And then over here as well, I'm going to add a title to that. So let me just save this and add a title to this. So I'm just going to click here, add my module. So my module is going to be text like that. Then I'm just going to copy some text from here like that. Okay, so now that I have that in place, all I have to do now is to copy the style that I have here on the top and paste it over here. Then I'm just going to drag it to the top. Great, so this is my final layout. I'm just going to save the page now, and then I'm going to exit my Visual Builder. Okay, so this is my hero image. And then here we have the rest of the content. So again, as you can see, my hover options are working. If I hover over the text, it really highlights in this bright red. And then over here as well, as soon as I'm about to play the video, it also turns into color. And the same applies here as well. So you can actually use this in your design. So I'm going to save this, and if you want to use it, I'm going to include a link to the blog post where you can download this layout from. And as I said, you can always just drag the file and drag it onto the page that you need to add your design to. Now, I should also say that if you're running Divi, make sure you're running the latest Divi for these features to work. But you can go ahead and use this layout, in your designs. So that's all I have for you in today's video. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and also hit the bell notification, because by doing so, you'll be notified every time I release a new video. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.